train. Boy, I picked the right time to start this video. As soon as I pressed the button, I heard the train coming. Why is it the police are so afraid of a small, crippled white guy? Why did the police go out of their way and commit repeated felonies to prevent me from showing evidence? Because it was in their best interest, because they had committed multiple felonies. Apparently it's windy, and now that fly is. Oh, he's still moving. All right, not anymore. The police, just like Jen Beebe, know that they did wrong. Now, Jen Beebe, at this point, especially since I have been attempting to, well, I can't do any of these things for me to do. Because of the term mentally ill, they stop me from doing it. They prevent me from making a police report against these police. I am completely overwhelmed. For me to sit down and look at this stuff literally makes me want to eat a bullet. Every time I have to look at this stuff, every time I think about my court date, where my predators get to have a kangaroo court, makes me want to blow my head off. When I think of the things that Miss Peaches did to me, after all of her empty promises, and Katie Cahill as well. You know why I had to go to people like Katie Cahill and people like Shannon Alvarado, people like Dan Faber? It's because people like Nicole Peralta, who is a mandatory reporter, and people like Jen Beebe, who is a mandatory reporter, would not do their jobs. And because the Bollingers are all tied in with the police on this, the police won't take a report about the Bollingers, will not investigate it, will not do anything about it. And then they want to play like I'm a bad person for speaking out. No. Now then we got to deal with racist assholes like Samuel Leon Lawrence IV. Now why is it that I'm calling this black dude a racist? Well, because the rules were different for him than they were for me. In our conversations between each other, he types to me that I have to understand his disability. Meanwhile, he made zero effort to understand mine. Now, why is it that myself and Samuel Leon Lawrence IV were in contact with each other? Well, that would probably have something to do with the fact that we were assaulted by the same black police officer in Boulder County. The same black police officer who was let go in Denver for assaulting an inmate. The same black officer who apparently, out of the 7 people that he assaulted in 2018 in Boulder, apparently the 2 people and the 1 Hispanic lady that he assaulted, he did because he is racist. You want to give me this narrative about how only white people can be racist? Well, fine. We'll pretend that Officer Waylon Lolatai is a white guy. Does that make you feel better? It doesn't make it fucking true. But it'll fit your goddamn narrative, won't it? Police in multiple states, counties, and jurisdictions were aware of what was going on and ignored it. ignored the crimes against me. I just wanted to be left the fuck alone so I could go see my loved ones, my positive loved ones. Because going over to Brenda Dickinson's house, yeah, I can't fucking handle that woman. Her constant negativity, her constant talking like she's on fucking meth. And she's not on meth. She's on scheduled drugs for rheumatoid arthritis. But that doesn't change the fact that that affects her the same way as methamphetamines and heroin affect people like Natalie Bollinger, and the same way that alcohol affects people like Shannon Alvarado and Teresa Orn. Meanwhile, I'm still fighting for our rights. I'm also pointing out the hypocrisy from every side. The rules are different when it happens to you. And that's what that one that I showed you right at the beginning, that meme right at the very fucking beginning of this. What does it say? Can you repeat it for me? Well, it don't matter if you can or not. I'm pulling it up for you now. Judging a demonstration by its most violent cops is the language of the oppressor. All right. Judging men by their most violent participants, but not judging women by their most violent participants. That's the language of the oppressor. Judging white people by their most violent participants, but not judging black people by their most violent participants is the language of the oppressor. Yes, you, as black folks, trying to spread this shit, are the oppressors as well. You are doing the same things that you want to bitch about others doing. Now, I know what that's like. I do. You're doing it back out of desperation because you have tried to do the thing, and America just doesn't give a fuck. That's all of America. Not every single person in America, but that's America from coast to coast. No matter what, I will never be allowed an honest day in court. The best possible outcome out of all of this, because nobody is going to be actually in my corner. Jen Beebe obviously is not in my corner. Obviously, if I have to go to court, I will have to go alone. However, I hope it's video court. Why is that? Or not video court, but over the telephone, which they've been doing because of the COVID-19. You're not allowed to record your court dates. Did you know that? You're not allowed to record your court dates in a court of law. But the Daily Camera can pay them a few dollars and get a special permit to put Miss Peaches at risk by putting her face up. Now I put Miss Peaches' face up, and I don't put her face up from anything from her Facebook or anything that she sent me. No, I take that picture from the media and I show that. Peaches and I were not allowed to bring our cameras and our phones into the courtroom. But the Daily Camera was. How do I know? This picture was taken by the Daily Camera. Who's this? It's me. Who's this? This is Peaches. And then the cops, like Scott DaCosta here. when I give him a tiny taste of what I've had to go through because he didn't do his fucking job and his coworkers didn't do their jobs. And in addition to not doing their jobs, they outright broke the law and then committed felonies to hide the fact that they broke the law. And then by allowing my predators, first of all, by locking me up instead of allowing me to turn in my predators, and then knowingly allow my predators to flee the state and go to another jurisdiction. At least 4 of the cops who have taken part in killing these black folks were released from other departments. Why? Because they were prone to bullying. And then there's those of you idiots who think that just because a police officer tells you to do something, that you have to. No, you don't. You do not have to comply with an unlawful order. If a police officer is not detaining you, you are free to go. If they are detaining you, then you have the right to know why. You guys keep telling me I need to let it go. Did the Bollinger family let it go? I let it go when I left Virginia. Did the Bollingers or their druggy friends let it go? No, they didn't. Have the police, who have repeatedly broken the law, I really don't want to make this video anymore. Literally, what I want right now is someone to shoot me in the fucking head. I don't have any friends to go do positive shit with. And that is extremely important for all of our mental health. Something that none of these people with families who actually care about them, who actually interact with them, will ever have a goddamn clue about. If you were a black person and you have one family member that actually gives a shit when this happens, instead of telling you that you deserved it and going and protecting the actual predators, if you have one person who is actually in your corner, you have more than I have had, because all I have had is pretty fucking words. Now, that's not to say that none of these people help me out in other ways, but without them coming forward, writing their statement, going to court with me, going in when I have to talk to a police officer to help me to get the police officer to do their jobs. Now, then there's a situation with Laura Nelson. There were many of those situations that I was talking about, and there was a couple of them that I was talking about that she really didn't know anything about, but a lot of it she did. And Sheriff Scott DaCosta gave me an overview of what I'm allowed to talk about and what I'm not. Well, I needed Laura Nelson there because their officers did wrong, and I needed to speak about those situations, but Sheriff Scott DaCosta is telling me I'm not allowed. Not that it matters. Laura Nelson's a fucking coward. She's not going to tell the fucking truth. She's too afraid. She's afraid of public opinion. Many of these people who pretended that they were going to help me, and I do mean pretended, because if you're not able to keep your word in 7 months, knowing that someone is being harmed that entire 7 months, you never had any intention of helping them. All you did was waste their time and their resources and make their lives less bearable. I want to drag Miss Peaches into court. I do. I want to drag that fucking backstabbing goddamn cunt into court. But you know what? There are hundreds upon hundreds of people that I need to drag into court to prove that I've been telling the truth. Why? Because there were hundreds of people involved. Hundreds of people involved. Mandy Hughes, no matter how much she wants to hate me now, you know why she hates me? Because after she and her daughter repeatedly did not keep their word over and 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 over again. But they wanted to tell me those same pretty words. I recorded those words that they should have spoken out about well before I literally had to break the law because they weren't keeping their word. None of them were. Alyssa Rainwater was a 911 dispatcher in Adams County when Natalie was killed. Her mother repeatedly made promises that she was going to help. Now, the police said that people didn't want to help, probably because of the way that I act. No. Why didn't Miss Peaches help? Well, first of all, because she's got the brains of a fucking rock. But second of all, because her family is more important. She's afraid of public opinion. Now, Mandy Hughes, same thing. Empty promise after empty promise after empty promise. And when I get frustrated, I get treated like I'm fucking garbage. They're allowed to get frustrated. They're allowed to be hateful and angry at me for recording the truth and posting it on the internet. But I'm not allowed to be angry at that they made plenty of empty promises, and those words that I recorded that they promised that they would do something about, promised that they would write that down, promised that they would go in with me to talk to the police, and they never did. None of them ever went in with me to talk to the police. Miss Peaches never went in with me to talk to the police. See, the key right there, with me. If you are alone, the cops can turn off their body cameras and they can do whatever the fuck they want to you. Now, in these cases, you get to see how, well, the only reason these cops are in trouble is because there were cameras present. In some of those cases, it's the police officer's own body cameras that show that he did those evil things. The closer I get to court date, mind you, it's the 15th. In 10 minutes, it's going to be the 16th. 2 days before court, I'm already having enough problems sleeping. And the closer I get to it, the more that the reality of the fact that I'm just not going to get an honest court date really sets in. About how these people who didn't keep their word, who I love very much, like Miss Peaches, wanted to throw me away like trash because of things that I had to say after she helped my predators. She literally helped my predators. And I have to be afraid to even go speak to the police alone. And I have no one to go in there with me. And Laura Nelson, you're a fucking coward and a piece of shit. You're a fucking coward. You hide because you're a fucking coward. Now, if you'd have gone in with me at the very fucking beginning, instead of being a fucking backstabbing goddamn cunt. Hello, Nima. Laura Nelson, if you'd have gone in there with me, this would have been settled in a court of law. Instead of me having to tell the truth on the internet. Laura, if you want to be pissed off at me, you can kiss my ass. If you didn't want to be ostracized by the public and didn't want to be made a target by the public, you could have kept it private by going in with me and speaking to the goddamn cops. The same thing with you, Mandy Hughes. The same thing with you, Miss Peaches. You do not get to victimize me because you didn't keep your goddamn word. Laura Nelson is the woman that I bought that busted ass vehicle from. Laura Nelson is the mother of an autistic child here in Chapel, Nebraska, who has been involved in this situation with Natalie since the very beginning. She was aware of all of this, and she is afraid to speak up. Well, I don't care if she's afraid to speak up. If she doesn't speak up, there's no consequences for her. Yes, there are. If you're going to allow innocent people to be harmed because you're a coward, I am going to call you a fucking coward. Laura Nelson, she's the one who sold me the vehicle that I drove to Virginia and back, the one that was stolen by the Longmont police in August of 2018. The same vehicle that was stuck, broken on Ken and Leah's other property. Yes, they have more than one property. Stuck at Ken and Leah's other property. Because the very same problem that I had in Virginia, I also had at Ken and Leah's with that steering wheel. And you know what else? I found out from Laura Nelson's husband, David Nelson, after I bought the car, which, by the way, something that dangerous they should have informed me about. David Nelson lets me know that that was a pre-existing issue. See, it isn't the facts that matter, it's the narrative. That's the difference between the law and bias. None of these police officers, not a single one of these officers cares about the law, just as you don't care about the law. You care about the narrative. You care about the bias. Oh, it's a white guy, he must be to blame. It's a black guy, he must be to blame. It's a police officer, he must be to blame. Meanwhile, 11% of police officers in the United States have been under investigation in the last 10 years. Now, mind you, that's not counting complaints from the people that they victimize the most, because they refuse to take a report from the homeless. And if a homeless person tries to turn in a report, they will arrest that homeless person, that homeless bystander who saw these police officers do a terrible thing to a homeless person in front of many witnesses who are homeless. And then when they try to go down to the police station, the police annex on 16th and Arapahoe, to try to turn it in, they get arrested. Any witnesses get harassed, threatened, assaulted, and arrested. NEMA type, the system is always rooted against men like us. It may not be the same, but people like that have screwed me over too. Yeah, the problem is that most of us in America have been screwed over at least a little bit by someone like that. The difference quantity of it. Now, first of all, let's say you've got two women who are raped, or two little girls. We'll say little girls because that kind of helps to explain the scenario a little better. You've got two little girls who are raped. One of them is in a house that if she leaves, she'll be locked up in the system, so she has to stay there. And she's raped every single day. Every single day, and nobody cares. Then there's another woman, or little girl, and she gets raped just once. And because she's pretty, people actually care. People listen to her. People want to do something about it. She was only raped once. Meanwhile, this girl who's being raped every day has to continue to take it because nobody cares. They want to give her pretty memes instead of helping her. They want to tell her what to do and how to think and how to feel instead of helping her. They want to treat her as if she ignores rapes aren't happening. No, she'll still be raped tomorrow because you're not listening, because she's not pretty enough. Now, in this scenario, am I saying that it's okay to rape somebody just once? Not by a long shot. Rape is rape is rape is fucking rape. It's wrong. It doesn't matter if you're pretty or if you're ugly. It doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl. By the way, 1 in 6 boys is molested in the United States before they turn 12. 1 in 6. And yes, 1 in 4 for women is a bigger statistic, but I'm not going to just pretend that it's happening only to women because boys have a slightly smaller statistic. It's still happening to boys. And if a boy comes forward, he is victimized and ostracized worse than a pretty woman by a long shot. Because of your bias. This thought that it's never okay for a man to hit a woman. No, actually it is. Actually it is. It is absolutely okay if you're being assaulted by a 300-pound woman and you're a 120-pound man and she's trying to beat you to death. Yes, by all means, my recommendation in situation is to break her nose. Punch her as hard in the nose as you fucking can. Am I saying that because I want you to hurt a woman? No, I'm saying that because if you shatter her nose, her eyes well up, and you have the opportunity to get away. If she can't see you, she can't chase you. If she tries to chase you while her eyes are welled up in tears because you shattered her fucking nose, now mind you, I'm giving you this very same advice when it comes to men. I'm not sexist. I don't care what genitalia you have or what color your skin is. You have the right to defend yourself. Nima typed, it's horrible to think that you'd be the one who receives legal repercussions even as you're the one victimized. Yeah, but that's the point. And see, that's one of the things that I very much feel for as far as, well, the black members of our society, is that they are victimized in the same way. Not to the same degree, unless they're homeless. But the fact is, if a black person goes and tries to turn in a police officer, they're going to do the same thing. If a news agent goes into a police station and asks for a piece of paper so they can write a report on it, the police do terrible things to them too. But they get a free card, a get out of jail free card. Because in that video that's like 34 minutes long, that is one jurisdiction after another, after another, after another, after another, one department after another, after another, after another. They went to over 20 police departments, and only 3 of those police departments gave is that legally they're supposed to. If I want to fill out a report about abuse from a police officer, you legally do have to give me that piece of paper and allow me to fill it out. If I am disabled and I need help with that, then there are people and agencies like Jen Beebe who are supposed to do that, but they don't. Jen Beebe has been collecting a paycheck for the last 5 months for fucking me. I don't mean literally fucking me as in we had sex, because not a chance in fucking hell. But fucking me because she has not done her job. Meanwhile, she is a witness to many of these situations, but she has also committed felonies by not turning these things in. So how am I to get an honest court date? I'm not. That's why I've posted up as much as I can. And that's why I want somebody who cares enough to look through the evidence. Somebody who's going to look at it objectively. Somebody who isn't going to go, oh, well, he was cursing at her or him in December of 2018, so he must be wrong. Somebody who's going to go all the way back to the very witnesses up there. And although many of them witnesses are pissed, oh, we're back. Although many of them witnesses are pissed, the conversations that I recorded, if they try to lie in court, well, I've got those videos, those conversations between us that prove otherwise. Problem is, I won't be allowed an honest day in court. Just like anywhere else, the judges, the cops, the DA, and the public pretender are all on the same side. They give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about me. Nobody who works for the government has any morality, or they wouldn't be working for the government. If you are going to turn a blind eye to these terrible things, then no, you have no morality. I love Polly Olson. I think she's great. But at the same time, she's also a coward and a piece of shit. I'm not allowed to have an opinion. I'm also not allowed to state facts. The last time I talked to Polly Olson down there at the courthouse, she got angry with me because some of those police officers I was trying to turn in are her friends. Imagine that. Many of the people in this situation had that situation where things with my predators. So they're not going to say what they know because they want to be friends with my predators. But that allows those predators and many others to continue harming me for the rest of my life, which I'm hoping is very short. If there is somebody who is willing to message me, I will make payments of about $2,400 every, I believe it's every 6 months. If there's someone who's willing to put a bullet in my head, I'll dig the hole myself. And I will give you that $2,400 to do the job. All right, Nima. My name is Sean David. I live in Chapel, Nebraska. It's only 2 miles across the Colorado border. Never mind. Oh, you thought I was kidding.